Welcome back to the first, the first proper episode of We Roguelike It.
Yes.
I'm your host, Boston. Joining me is Moonpir.
Hello.
And as we talked about in the intro episode, if you haven't listened to that, go back. It's only a couple of minutes, but we're going to play as many roguelikes as we can, and basically play roguelikes in a giant list until we die.
Yes.
I guess, because we have almost 100 roguelikes in the list of things that have already been released.
Yep.
So
and I think we agreed we're going to play them like this until the Binding of Isaac DLC comes out on consoles, aka the Heat Death of the Universe. So
exactly.
We've got some time to go.
Plenty of time. But as we mentioned during the intro episode, the first game we're playing is Hand of Fate.
Yep.
Which is what we're going to talk about this week. Also want to remind everyone, the format for the show isn't really solidified. It's not like we have an easy one like the Binding of Moonpir where, you have the dailies and you have your progress and all that stuff. So we're just going to sort of talk about Hand of Fate. This isn't my first time playing it. Is this your first time?
Yep. I know the Hannon was a huge fan of this, I believe.
Yeah, I think he and I think he had recommended it to me, or both of us had sort of accidentally found it at the same time. So since this is your first time playing, let's start with you. How do you feel about Hand of Fate so far?
Well, let's talk about the thing that stands out the most for this thing. Like, everything's got its own. If it's a really genuinely great roguelike, it has things which speak to what it is. Binding of Isaac has one of the most unique art styles you'll ever see in video games.
Yep, the urine-soaked Legend of Zelda.
Yes. You've got Flint Hook, which is a really cool, fast-paced kind of thing. You've got Risk of Rain, which has its art style and its chaotic nature going for it. Mm-hmm. This thing is a... Wait, let me see if I've got my phrasing correct here.
Let's put it all together.
It's a trading card, Dungeons & Dragons style, roguelike collectible card game?
Plus hack and slash.
Oh yes, plus the hack and slash. I forgot about the hack and slash.
Yeah, like it's sort of hard to explain, but it's really cool. I really like that the dealer. I don't think he even has a name. I just call that guy the dealer. The only other character in the game.
Yep.
I like that he hands out cards. If anyone hasn't played it, he gives a deck of cards at the very beginning. It's a ton of cards, and there's equipment, enemies, and then
encounters, gains, losses, loot.
Yeah,
so many types of cards.
The most important ones are encounters. Basically, he throws down a dungeon.
Yep. On
the table built out of cards.
Yep.
And
a bit like like something like Clue, where you have upside down things. There's another game, Betrayal and Haunted Hill is another example of this, where you just end up with cards facing down, and then when you step on it, they get flipped, and that is what your encounter is for that quote-unquote room of the dungeon.
Yeah, and I it's so cool in this because he's taking all this stuff from that encounter deck and making a dungeon out of it. And you can, once you start getting through the first couple of dungeons, they start getting more complex. The first couple are just, here's one path, go crazy.
Here's a Tetris piece, follow the line. Here is a cube, follow the line.
Yeah. What I really like, though, and what I forgot since I've played it last, which was a couple of years ago, I really like getting one of those encounter cards, making a decision, and then the decisions are well written and they're interesting. And then sometimes you'll make a decision and he'll give you 4 cards that all have an outcome on it.
Yep, success, huge success, failure, and huge failure.
Yeah, huge failure is real bad.
Haven't had one yet, thank goodness.
Yeah, I remember those being not run enders, but it's sort of like, stuff like, I removed half of your food. It's like, oh no, that's very bad.
Wait, yeah, I did have a huge failure. It was one. And it was the bard in the restaurant. I think it was the White Minotaur bard, which I'm pretty sure, based on the fact that it's blue-coloured, is DLC. I think.
I think so, yeah.
Because I'm playing this on the Xbox One, which I'm pretty sure came with all of the DLC and stuff, because so many coloured things in the corners.
Yeah, I bought this originally when it came out on PS4 3 years ago now, and when I fired it up this time, you finish like the first 2 or 3 dungeons, you get all these coins that keep cracking open. It's like, new DLC, and there's like 7 of them, so I'm guessing they're free at some point.
But yeah, I had a huge failure on the Song of the Minotaur or whatever it was, and the bard would only tell me information about the Minotaur. If I passed this skill check, I had a huge failure. It was give me all of your gold to get the answer. I had 6 gold. It was fine.
Okay, there we go. That's not so bad. Yeah, I one of the things I'm happy about now is it's gotten a number of patches since it originally came out, and it runs so much more smoothly than it did originally. It had sort of infamously had some real frame rate issues on launch, and thankfully that stuff is all smoothed out, because some of the hack and slash battle stuff would have frame rate issues too, and that was a real bummer.
Yeah, that would be where it would be tough, considering it's a very, very basic hack and slash system, but it's also a very consequential hack and slash system.
Yeah. The thing I think I would liken it to is the very first, the Arkham Asylum, but sort of toned down from that. It's really roll out of the way, attack, or counter.
This is going to make it sound terrible, and it's not the best part of the game, so forgive me for this, but it makes me feel like the Captain America / Thor licensed game knockoff version of the Batman Arkham Asylum games.
Sure, like
it's in there, but that's about all you can say, really.
Yeah, and like you can say that they didn't have a big budget and it's not a big team, so there's allowances, but it's definitely not. It's definitely serviceable and it's definitely playable. It's not one of those things where it's like, anything to avoid a fight. It's not like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely on the easier side than anything else.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that, because to be honest, for me, the thing I'm loving most about this so far is it's the setup. This is a board game. Like, I could see playing this game versus my friends. I could very easily see this be an actual real card building trading game that I sit down and play with my friends, minus the hack and slash sections.
Right.
But it's so good, and the presentation is fantastic. The voice acting is incredible from the one dude who's in the game. The haven't done too much in it so far, but the fact that I do love the progression system in it, which is where you get to a card that you haven't encountered before or whatever, and he's like, okay, there's a token on the line, and he reaches into his stupid big red jar, he pulls out a token, and he floats it in the air, and then if you succeed against that card, you get that token. At the end of the game, that token means more cards, more spells, more dexterity, more equipment, more everything. And it's very easy to see the roguelike progression. I did just get, I think it was a couple of days ago, I got my my goblet card, aka things just got harder.
Everything is terrible.
Yep. So yeah, that's fun, and to be honest, I can see it getting more difficult, but so far not kick me in the face difficult. So far, just a little bit more tough. Let's see how you do.
Well, and the thing that I think is really interesting when the game gets more difficult, it's not necessarily the enemies do get more difficult, but like we said, the hack and slash is fine. It's good, but the difficulty really comes from juggling both your health and your food, since food takes X number to move from card to card in the dungeon, and then you're gonna get plus or minus those depending on your encounter.
And your health. You use food to heal as well, which I love the fact that it never outright states what everything in the game does. It lets you figure it out yourself, which I do kind of enjoy about it. Like, it doesn't really explain food that well, and then all of a sudden you realize, okay, every time I move, it's minus, I took a bit of damage in that encounter, or my food went down even more, but I'm back to full health again now. That makes sense.
Right.
Like, it's really cool.
Yeah, and you can get more food from some of the encounters, like going to the inn, or there's some. One of my favorite encounters is, there's a glittering thing at the bottom of this chasm, and it's like, okay, I don't have great equipment, so I guess I'm going to go down there. Nope, I hit a failure card, so I fell down and hurt myself very badly.
Yep.
Okay. And I didn't get any equipment, so great.
I've had the permanent reduction in maximum HP item a couple of times now.
Oh, ouch.
So, yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Deal with the devil card is amazing, or whatever his name is, that devil. I apologize for saying this now, because if you keep playing it, when you see him, you'll never unsee it. His nipples look weird. So, next time that card comes out, have a look at the devil's nipples.
Check them out. Yep. Check out those nips.
I'm going to ruin this for you, and I'm waiting for the text in the middle of the week saying,
Right, I can't believe. Yeah. I really like Hand of Fate, even still, and I think it... The thing about it is it's not super complicated, but there's just enough systems, like you're saying, that you can feel the progression happening. Like, you complete one whole dungeon and you kill one of the guys in the chest of cards, and
which is really cool presentation as well.
Yeah, I like that. Like the skeleton looks like it has his arm crossed, and when
like a coffin.
It opens, it's just it's really great. But you can see every time you finish a dungeon, you get, oh, now I can equip helmets. Okay, now I have a whole new slot, or I just unlocked an equipment card that does 55 damage, and it does holy damage, so it'll do more against skeletons. Like, okay, cool. Now even if the dungeon is going to get harder, or if I want to go back and do previous dungeons, I have better equipment, and I'm better equipped to do that stuff. Yep. I think that's really great.
It's really, really cool. Like, I'm seeing that progression in front of me. It's like, okay, I haven't struggled so far. Let's see how many everything is terrible I can get before it starts to get really, really bad. But it's really fun so far. I like the progression. I like the artwork. I like the presentation is just so cool. It's just sitting in the middle of a cross hallway, and you can see stuff off in the side, but it's just you facing the dude who's juggling the cards with his mind. Like,
yeah, I like when you're about to start a run and he has the cards like moving in a figure 8 in front of him. There's just hundreds of. It just looks so cool.
Yeah, and full credit as well for the actual card artwork. It's so cool.
Yeah, it reminds me of something specific, but I can never. It's almost like medieval art. Like medieval Inktober.
You know, the funny thing is, I could genuinely see this be a spin-off of D&D. Like, switch encounter design from a hack and slash video game to a dice rolling decision making game.
Oh, absolutely.
And you've got yourself a whole new divergence of D&D there, with the randomness of the cards and everything.
Because it's more simple, it might be a really good opportunity to train new DMs.
Yes.
Because you don't have to worry about laying out a whole field. You don't have to worry about all these character items and all this stuff. You put out a dungeon of cards, starting point, ending point, make the dungeon, and then do the encounters.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Wizards of the Coast, hit up Hand of Fate developers. Go do that.
Yes.
All right, any closing thoughts here for week 1 of Hand of Fate?
No, so far I'm pretty impressed. Like, the game, it seems like it might have been made by a small studio, and it's doing really, really well so far. Like, I wasn't expecting to enjoy the progression and the actual simplistic nature. I wasn't expecting to enjoy so much. But it also helps that my wife is a board game fiend. And I know that this is scratching on her board game itch, because every time I play this, I can just see her glancing over.
It's just like, ooh, what's
card
that?
Games.
Oh, hello.
There's a card game going on. This is a card game. I need to look at this card game. So,
yeah,
it's really well done. I'm enjoying it so far. We'll see if it gets to throw my controller through my TV.
The screw this game stage.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I played this when it came out, and I've sort of played it a little bit here and there as the years have gone on, but it's sort of hard to explain that all of it feels good. Like, it's very simple, but they managed to nail down everything they needed to, and the stuff that they didn't necessarily excel at, it all works. It's just the whole game works, and nothing really stands out as a glaring issue. And I for a lot of roguelikes, I feel like that's pretty good.
Yes, very much. Yeah. It probably also helps in this case that we are coming to this years after its release, because we also don't have to deal with all of those bugs and stuff that you mentioned at the start. So we kind of get the optimal version of it, really.
Yeah, and I feel like that's probably the good part about a lot of the games we're going to deal with. Some of these games are going to be, 20 years old and be like, oh, this game doesn't have any bugs, and it runs on everything.
Yes, literally.
Because it's just text.
Everything.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much, everyone, for listening and watching. That's episode 1. We'll be back next week with episode 2 of Hand of Fate. Bye.
Bye.